Hi, today we're going to take a look at Smallhythe Place, a National Trust property with a wealth of history. Smallhythe Place can be found in the county of Kent, in the southeast corner of the United Kingdom. Smallhythe is a tiny hamlet just outside Tenterden. Keep an eye on that coastline, I'll explain more a little later on. If you're interested in Tenterden, I'll pop a video up at the end. Smallhythe Place is just a couple of miles south past the Chapel Down Winery. There's limited parking just 60 metres away. I'll supply a what 3 words address in the description to help you find it. But now, let's go explore. The exact date when the house was built is unknown, believed to be the 16th century. There was a fire in Smallhythe in 1514, so it's probably after that, as scorched timbers have been used in older parts. So let's talk about Smallhythe. Hythe from the Old English meaning small harbour or landing place. But hang on, we're 8 miles as the crow flies from the sea. However, this wasn't the case in the 13th century. Smallhythe had direct access to the sea, and the main employment in the area was shipbuilding. Both Henry V and Henry VIII had large ships built here. But changes to the landscape and the silting up of the waterways led to a change of fortunes, and Smallhythe became a rural farming community. However, the reason Smallhythe Place is of interest today is because of a Victorian actress, Ellen Terry. Now, I need to be honest, I knew nothing of Ellen Terry, who was born in Coventry in 1847. Ellen became a star whose career spanned 7 decades and even made it into the movies. Now let's take a look at the home she bought in 1899 as a getaway from the bright lights of the stage, and where she died in 1928 at the age of 81. On her death, her daughter Edith, who lived next door in the priest's house, set about turning Smallhythe Place into a museum to celebrate the life and career of her mother, and this place is packed with artefacts. So as you stroll around, you get the mix of a medieval home, last used in the Edwardian period, with a wealth of Ellen Terry memorabilia. If this is a subject of interest to you, you could spend hours here. Talking of hours, I will of course add a link to the National Trust website with the opening hours and price of admission. Remember, National Trust members visit for free. I'll also add a recommendation or two for somewhere to stay in nearby Tenterden. And I'd also suggest the wine tasting at the nearby Chapel Down Winery. Anyway, back to Smallhythe Place. Having come from an acting family, it was no surprise that Ellen herself became an actress, and some would say the most famous in the 19th century. In fact, I should be calling her Dame Ellen Terry, as she was appointed Dame Grand Cross of the Order of the British Empire by King George V in 1925. Ellen was married 3 times, and her 2 children, Edith and Edward, were born to another man, Edward William Godwin, with whom she eloped in 1868. It would be fair to say she had a bit of a bohemian lifestyle. Our journey now continues upstairs. Here the exhibition continues with some examples of costumes worn by Ellen. The BBC 2 series Hidden Treasures of the National Trust, episode 5, features Smallhythe. I'll pop the YouTube link to that at the end, and you can see some of the incredible work done to preserve these collections. You may also notice the beautiful narration by Jim Carter, Mr. Carson from Downton Abbey. We discover the bust of Sir Henry Irving, whose theatre company Ellen joined in 1878 and stayed for the following 20 years. This partnership brought Ellen to the attention of American audiences when Henry took his productions on the road. As you discover the story of Ellen Terry, you begin to understand what an amazing career she had. So while a lot of the house has been turned into a museum, Edith wished to preserve her mother's bedroom as it was, and that's what you find. I hope you like our look at Smallhythe Place and the story we've shared. If you have, give us a like, we would so appreciate that. I have to be honest, I was surprised at how much was inside Smallhythe Place, and I have only scratched the surface of Ellen's incredible life. We'll now discover a little more of the story of Smallhythe Place after Ellen passed away, and we'll take a look at the Barn Theatre. That's it over there, but don't worry, there's an easier way. So in Ellen's lifetime, Edith, let's call her Edie from now on, wanted to convert the 17th century barn into a theatre. However, Ellen wanted her home as a respite from the stage, so it wasn't until Ellen passed away Edie got her wishes. In 1929 the barn was converted into a theatre with the aim to hold a Shakespearean performance on the anniversary of Edith's death every year. Oh, a slight aside, is this the National Trust's smallest second-hand bookstore? Love to know if there's one smaller. And back to the barn, and the theatre was born, paid for through the Ellen Terry Fund, raising money through West End matinee performances and some innovative fundraising through the sale of reed seats. The theatre opened on the 31st of July 1929, on the first anniversary of Ellen's passing. Edie passed away in March 1947 while planning that year's performance. Actors Sir Lewis Cason and Sir John Gielgud established the Ellen Terry Fellowship, which presented the annual memorial matinees from 1947 to 1961. Sir John Gielgud was Ellen Terry's great nephew and became patron of the Barn Theatre. Another notable patron was Sir Donald Sinden, and the current patron is Joanna Lumley, OBE. From the barn, let's take a stroll through the garden. There's a little more of the story to tell. We will start by walking through the orchard to the rose arbour, but time for a confession. This was filmed in late October, a lovely day, but not the best time to see an English cottage garden famed for its roses. Late spring and summer is the time to visit, but it's still a lovely day, and for our troubles we discover the writing hut. Built in the early 1900s as a writing space for Christopher St John, also known as Christabel Marshall, who was in a menage a trois with Edie and artist Claire Atwood. They lived together in the priest's house between St John the Baptist Church and Smallhythe Place. These women championed suffrage and gay rights at a difficult time from an idyllic setting in the Kent countryside. The next and final part of our story takes us to St John the Baptist Church. This is where we'll find a memorial stone to Edie. Her ashes were meant to be buried here next to the graves of Christabel and Claire. However, the ashes were lost, so we just have the stone. If you're interested, Ellen's ashes are stored in St Peter and St Paul's Church, the Actors' Church in Covent Garden, London. St John's was Ellen Terry's church and where her funeral service was held. And this takes our story full circle. Built in 1516 to 17 after that fire that destroyed so much of Smallhythe, built of red brick thought to have been brought from the Low Countries, the Netherlands. The steep gables of the west end and east walls indicate a Dutch influence. Built of a time when Smallhythe was a trading port. And I think that's time to bring this video to a close. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and happy travels.